Hello, tile friends. Welcome back to another episode of Tile Money, the podcast where we discuss the business of being a tile contractor. My name is Luke Miller, your host. I am a licensed tile contractor myself in the state of California. And Tile Money is brought to you by the National Tile Contractors Association. It is our hope that by listening to this podcast, you're strengthened and encouraged to run better, profitable businesses out there. Show a profit. Know your worth. Build the type of business that is right for you. Build the type of business that improves your life as well as the communities around you. And the only way you can do this is not only putting out the best work that you know you can do, but also showing a profit, friends. So in that regards, I have another interview for you today. Amos Rimert, and he's built a profitable, sustainable tile installation business in the state of Florida, of all places. So I know Florida gets a bad rap, and no doubt for a reason, I'm sure. But here we have Amos, who's built a great business in that state. He is a CTI number 852. He takes tile very serious, and he specializes in residential remodels. You can follow his work at Custom Tile Installation on Instagram. So I know you're going to enjoy today's episode. We talk about some of the entrepreneurial, creative ways he's come up with over the years to stay in business. At the end of this interview, we have the Tile Money Tips. This is, of course, sponsored by Laticrete International. Ron Nash and I have been discussing negotiation tactics. This is tip 6, part B. So if you missed part A, you're going to want to listen to the Dirk Sullivan interview, and that's where you'll catch 6A. So we're going to continue our discussion on negotiation tactics in this Tile Money tip. So without further ado, friends, enjoy today's interview with Amos Rimert. All right, tile friends, here we are at Coverings, and I've got another great interview with Amos Rimert, and Amos has a tile installation company here in Florida. Amos, thank you for sitting down. Can you introduce yourself and your tile business?
Yes, my name is Amos Rimert. I've been installing tile for approximately 20 years. I started in 1999 at the ripe age of 14 and a half, I believe I was.
Wow.
So, and here I am all these years later, still doing it, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it for the most part. Obviously, there's parts, like any job, demo sometimes isn't the funnest, but overall, I do enjoy it.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing that. What was interesting is most 14-year-olds get started with their dad or uncle or mom. You went out on your own and found the tile industry. That's crazy.
Well, it was a kind of a friend of the family.
Okay.
And he needed some help.
Okay.
So I think if I remember right, he called my mom. It was during the summer. And was like, hey, do you think he'd be willing to help me out? And I was like, sure.
Yeah. Nice.
So I started there making $4 an hour.
Making money.
Yeah. At that age, it was, to me, any money was better than no.
For sure. And something new and interesting. What kind of hobbies do you have today? What are you into?
Well, when I'm not doing tile, which I do a lot, sometimes 6 days a week, just because I do stay busy, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I do like tinkering on. I got an old truck I like to work on, go-karts for the kids.
Yeah.
I like inventing stuff, so coming up with ideas for different products like that. So, and then also the things with the family. I love spending time with them. But when I do have time, I like tinkering, making something.
And you have 3 kids, is that right?
I do have 3 kids, so I have 2 boys and then a daughter.
Yeah, nice. And your wife is in college, so here Amos is supporting his wife and his family all through being a tile contractor. What's that business look like today? What do you specialize in? Any employees?
So right now, no employees. It's just me.
Nice.
And I like to focus on, my ideal job is a bathroom renovation. From start to finish would be my perfect job. Yeah. We'll say that.
Nice.
But I do work for contractors, and most of those are bathrooms.
Okay.
I will do large floors. They're not my favorite.
Yeah.
But you get me in a nice shower, and that's kind of my happy spot.
That's your zone. Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, that's similar to my business, believe it or not.
What obstacles have you had along the way that you've had to overcome in your business?
I mean, I would say the biggest for me personally, I honestly never struggled with getting work.
Okay.
I've been very fortunate because when I did work for several guys, I did side jobs.
Yeah.
So my name did get out there, and I always had people calling me for, even if it was just a little weekend job.
Yeah.
So when I did go out on my own, I was very blessed and fortunate to always have work, something.
Yeah.
Maybe not always the ideal job, but I always had something to do. But for me, and it's still something I think, I myself struggle with, and I know a lot of other guys do, is time management.
Okay.
Just not even getting the jobs done, but just saying yes too much. I know it's very easy. And when things were rough, I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
When the economy was slow, any job that came my way, I was basically, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
But
you're very creative. I like the way you approach things. You were telling me a story about how you got insurance to be a contractor.
Yeah, so when I first decided to go out on my own, I had started getting some jobs, and I did not have general liability.
Yeah.
And there was a particular job that I was on, and I started to freak out a little bit because I was afraid that A, the contractor would find out, and B, that I could, legally get in trouble.
Yeah.
And I didn't have enough money to go buy insurance. I just didn't.
I just didn't have the cash.
No, I was kind of broke. It was 2011 or 12, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So my solution to the problem was, is I had a credit card from Sears, so I went and bought an $1,800 TV. It was a nice TV. It was an $1,800 TV, and I went and pawned it for, I think it was $500 or $600.
Yeah.
And I took that money and then went and purchased insurance for my business so that I could be legal and not be so scared doing this job. And then, but after the job was completed, I did have the funds and the money to go get the TV out of.
You had a plan.
Yes.
You had a plan. That's
I wasn't going to lose $1,200
all the interest.
Yeah, so I did do that, but
I see. Got it.
So but that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
At that time to make things work.
I love that, and it shows your integrity too, because we all go through phases of where we're growing and we have a lot of pains and things, but when we start to realize like, oh hey, I was doing that wrong, or I need to do this to get to the next level, your integrity shines, because it's like, well, I'm just going to make it happen. I'm going to start thinking outside the box.
Yep.
I love that. How do you market your business? Do you have to advertise, or what are you doing down here in Florida? I know there's a pretty competitive market.
Well, I know, for the most part, when people think of Florida, they kind of think of, the armpit of the tile industry.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really rough market.
Yeah.
And once again, I've been very blessed to work for good contractors. And then also, all my business comes from word of mouth.
Yeah.
I have done some avenues of online advertising. I did some stuff with House. That didn't really work out for me.
Okay.
And so even today, I still stay plenty busy, just word of mouth. So advertising isn't on the forefront of my mind. I know at some point I should, like Lucas talked about, get a website. And get, just because it's good to have. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, for me, word of mouth is, and then the tile store, I do a lot of work with. They give out a lot of referrals.
Oh,
for me
that's
as
great.
Well. So
having that reputation and when you're by yourself, that can work really well, because it's you really just need one job at a time. And even if there's a little break in between, you probably don't mind, especially in these busy years.
No. Sometimes I wish there was more.
Right on. Well, I'm happy to hear that. And congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
When the time comes to expand, you're going to have that reputation behind you, but you're also going to now have advertising dollars or marketing dollars or your website. You're going to figure it out. That's great. So how are you selling that value? Because I'm sure there's guys who come in at half or half your price or less. I mean, I hear horror stories about the square foot prices down here, and I know you're not doing that. So how do you sell the value that you bring to your customers?
I would say obviously if I'm referred, it's coming on them knowing my reputation. And I try to obviously do the best job that I can.
Yeah.
I try to use high quality materials.
Okay.
I try to use a system.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'm just portraying that to them.
Okay.
That, my number one goal is, yes, make money at the end of the job, but really, when I'm on a job, I mean, not that I'll spend anything to get the job done, but I'll spend extra money to get the job done.
Yeah.
I don't. At that point, it's not a problem to me.
Yeah.
Even if I'm, it's got to spend a few more $100s to make it right.
Yeah.
I would rather do that and not bill for it than end up with a less quality job.
Okay.
Just because that's the way I've always.
You're gonna make it right.
Yeah. So, I try to convey to them that I'm going to do things the right way.
Yeah.
Follow industry standards, and use the correct products, and at the end, give them products that's going to last the test of time versus just slap it up, get my money, and be gone.
Yeah.
So, and I've had very good success to where, even somebody that doesn't know anything about, well, especially somebody that has a leaking shower,
Yeah.
if I come in there and, explain to them what's going on, and then tear the shower out, and they see with their own eyes that, I was making a good judgment call on what was done incorrectly.
Right.
That right off the bat helps out a lot to where you're not just coming there and spewing a bunch of baloney.
So you're communicating throughout the
Yes.
process.
Yes.
In the beginning, you're diagnosing the problem, you're letting them know, and then you're like, hey, look, I was right, or whatever.
Well, and I did a job earlier this year. It was a shower pan, and I went out there and looked at it, and I told the lady I wasn't sure. It was a very weird scenario. The shower pan was actually coming up.
Okay.
I had never seen one do that before. And I told her my best guess, what I thought was going on, and I gave her a price to repair it, and she thought it was too much. I said, that's okay. That's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
So she called, 2 or 3 plumbers out.
Yeah.
None of them had any other ideas.
Yeah.
So she ended up calling me back, and I did do the job, even though it was more than what she thought, she should have paid for it, or it should cost. But it was all said and done, we tore it up and saw what was going on.
Yeah.
She saw that I was kind of on the right track.
Yeah.
I didn't know for sure, but she was glad to pay the money that I had.
So she ended up seeing the value.
She did see the value in it, because when it was all said and done, she had a shower that functioned correctly and solved the problem that she had.
Sounds like you've been on your own, your business, about 10 years. Did I catch that right? About 9 years?
Yeah, so even after I started, my own business and was doing my own thing, I still did work for a guy occasionally.
Okay.
Just for filling, because I wasn't, immediately right off the bat, I had work, but sometimes it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So I had a few guys over the years that I would do some work for.
Sure. That sounds smart.
Yeah, I did some work for a few stores.
Yeah.
Realized that's what I didn't like, working directly for the store.
Okay. If you could go back in time and give yourself like one solid piece of advice that you feel would have maybe accelerated your growth in the business, what would that be?
I don't know. I mean, I look back early in my career, and it's when I think about it too much, it still bothers me. The mistakes, just the incorrect methods that I used that we used. It was just, so I would say, to me, one of the biggest is even outside of pricing, because if this doesn't come first, you can't get your pricing right, and you're not going to make the kind of money you want. But it's to make sure that you're using the correct methods.
Nice.
That you're not just throwing some stuff in a shower because you think it's going to work or because it's been done that way for 20 years.
Yeah.
And that was one of the mistakes I had for the guy that I worked for, is we did what everybody else did.
Yeah.
We didn't take the time to do research, to look at the NTCA standards.
Yeah.
It was just kind of, this is what the contractors expect.
Right.
This is what they're used to. So let's just keep doing this.
Yeah.
And, there's been several contractors that, did stuff that way.
Yeah.
And I do work for now.
Yeah.
That I had to educate them basically on why I was changing the way I was doing something.
Yeah.
And why I was going to cost more.
Yeah.
And, I can say there's several of them that I still do work for, and that's what they expect now.
Yeah.
Because I changed the way they looked at it versus everybody else was just cement, board, and mastic.
Okay.
And that was okay.
Nice.
But
so you came in as the professional and said, hey, here's why I do things different. Here's what it is.
Yes.
Here's the book. Here's the regulations.
And I think, you obviously got to be gentle the way you do it.
Yeah.
But a lot of them appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because, an average contractor, they're busy.
Yeah.
They're most likely not going to take the time to go educate themselves on, NTCA standards. Yeah. They're just not. They don't have the time. They're trying to make money. Same thing you're trying to do. Yeah. But it's
the contractor relies on his subcontractors to be the professional. I think that's one of the reoccurring themes, to be honest, of the last 2 days. I've been having conversations, and the successful contractors I've been talking to. That's one of the reoccurring themes. Is they stand out as the professional, not just the guy that shows up with a trawl ready to work.
Yeah, I think to know your industry, because not even, even to the homeowner, you're going to come off more professional.
Yeah.
And then even to the contractor, where, they know that, hey, I can call this guy because he's up to date on industry standards, newer products, and he might have the answer to a problem that I have.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's key, is to know your industry basically, and be that, like you said, be the professional in your industry, to where they know that if I know that if this guy's coming to my job, he's going to do correct installation, and he's going to follow industry standards and practices.
Yeah. Nice.
So I think that's key.
Yeah, I think so too, Amos, and I appreciate that. Are you a book reader? Do you read business books? Any recommendations or podcasts?
Well, I listen to Tile Money.
Oh, right on. Thank you.
I'm not a huge reader. I've gotten to where I need to read more, just because
it can be hard. Yeah.
Well,
with 3 kids.
It's definitely finding the time to do it.
Yeah.
But I do have Sean Van Dyke's book that I got off Amazon, Profit First
or Contract.
And that's one I'm working on.
Good.
And then I've read. I guess the actual last book I actually completed was, I think it was Dave Ramsey's Entree Leadership, which was a good one. Just kind of an overall business look.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely feel like I need to up my reading game.
Yeah, don't we all? We can't all be like some bookworms, right?
Well,
I like to listen.
Yeah. Well, for me, because I put my ISO tunes in.
Yeah.
So I'll throw on a Tile Money podcast, or I got some other ones I'll listen to.
Yeah. What's the next one on the list?
The Modern Craftsman.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that one a lot. I'm always looking for new ones.
Okay.
But I do like the ones that kind of just get your mind active and thinking.
Yeah.
And just think outside of your normal box.
That's it.
Because I think we all kind of get stuck in our little own boxes, and sometimes you got to break out.
That's it. Well, Derek, thank you for taking the time. I know you got a busy schedule here at Coverings, and I appreciate your time. And it's been encouraging. I'm sorry. I called you Derek. Amos. Amos.
Threw me for a loop there.
I'm sorry, Amos. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luke.
It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, very nice.
Right on.
All right, Tile friends, did you enjoy that interview with Amos? I know I sure enjoyed getting to know him and his business. Now, I wanted to preface today's Tile Money tip with Ron Nash. This is 6B, and so I wanted just to give a refresher on 6A. Last week, Ron was discussing and helping us understand the importance of questions and getting to know our customers' problems and pain points and getting to know their viewpoint. He reminded us of this quote. I'll quote Ron here. Dumb is smart and smart is dumb. And so oftentimes, friends, we want to run our mouths a lot because we do know a lot about our trade and we think this is the best way to win the jobs. But more often than not, pretty much the best rule of thumb is to ask a few questions and shut up and let that customer talk. You will get to know them, you will get to know their issues, and you can then employ the BRT method Ron talked about, building relationships on trust. Because when we sell them something, we're really selling more than just a tile installation. And that's kind of where we left off towards the end of 6A. And Ron was talking about bargaining power and why people buy. And he was talking about most people buy on the unspoken things. So he's gonna introduce 5 unspoken reasons why people buy. So friends, I hope you're enjoying these tile money tips. Please let us know if you'd like us to expand on any of these or talk about something else or continue what we're doing. Appreciate you, friends. Enjoy.
Yeah. 5 unspoken things that people worry about. They want to make their lives easier.
Right.
Okay. Anything that you can do to make their lives easier can help you close big deals.
Yeah.
I'll give you a great example. I have friends in the business that have used cleaning services. And they partner with cleaning services, and they will literally clean the whole house for them. That's a great little thing. Cost you a couple $100. You can fold that in, make their lives easier, make you easier to do business with.
Yeah.
You know, the other one, they want other people to think that they made a good choice. This is a huge bit, you know. This is actually a big component of how Mercedes sells their expensive vehicles and how high-end vehicles they do the status. You've made a good choice. You're a smart buyer, you know. So anything you can do to help that. They want peace of mind.
Yeah.
Okay, I hired the right guy. I know what I'm doing. So, I mean, Luke, what would you do to help people have peace of mind?
Yeah, you know, they want to make sure you're going to treat their house right. So you talk about that. You talk about protecting, you know, their existing furniture, their existing hardwood floors that they just got put in before they, you know, hired the tile guy. All these little things that add up, and you know, all of a sudden, you know, like you said, it gives them the peace of mind. Peace
of mind. Also, I have to give a plug for the CTI program.
Yeah.
You know, certified tile installers. The whole reason why you'd want to get a CTI is that it's a massive thing. Hey, I'm a certified tile installer. You know, the NTCA, National Tile Contractor Association of America, you know, has programs. We participate with those. I continue my education. Those are all peace of mind that's going to put you aside, set you apart from the hack that, you know, was a plumber and decided he wanted to get into tile too and knows nothing about it. So
be the professional. Perfect.
Exactly. They also want freedom of choice. So these 5 things, you know, making lives easier, being competent, peace of mind. They want to be listened to. Like that's one of the BRT things, man. You build relationship with trust. Customers going to like you. They're going to like you because you're listening. Right. That's a big thing. But the freedom of choice thing is, I find that a lot of contractors make a mistake when they just give them sort of a take it or leave it offer. This is my deal.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, I like to try to give people ways to walk into the best deal. Is there a way that you can make them part of the selection of the price, part of the selection of the, you know, the freedom of doing it right? So that's a good one. Freedom of choice. All right. Now,
I really like that tip. That's something that I think a lot of us forget about, is giving them options, you know?
Correct.
Yeah.
Give them as many options as possible, you know, make them part of it. And then that's also very difficult for a competitor to come in and just in a linear fashion take you out.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to have to try to walk that same road you walked, and in order to get to, or they're going to put fear in the buyer's mind of saying, you know, if I don't hire this guy, I might give up this. That's a great position. It's a stabilizing, I would call it a stabilizing position to be in.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about people's wants real quick. I have 10 points of what people want. In large organizations, estimators, project managers, those kind of things, they want to keep their job and their position.
Right.
So they're always afraid that they're going to make a mistake in contracting that's going to make them look like buffoons. Always. So think about that. People want to be treated with dignity. All right. I use this as a point when I talk about, you know, contractors getting too big for their britches.
Yeah.
And, you know, a backsplash job now, oh, that's too small. We don't even think about that. But I can tell you right now, I know of a guy who had he has a business, you know, he's way too big to come do your backsplash.
Yeah.
But he does them. If somebody calls up and says, hey, I just want a backsplash, he will figure out a way to fold it in, because the odds of that little tiny backsplash, which he doesn't really have time to do, of turning into that next big job are significantly high. Yeah. So people want to be treated with dignity, no matter how big the job is or how small the job is. Treat everybody the same.
Yeah. And even simpler than the backsplash, return the phone call, guys.
return the phone call.
Oh man. I could go off for an hour on that.
Yeah,
There are a lot of contractors that just start getting busy and they just kind of go, well, I'm not going to return these. That is a killer to your business. You can't do that. So I could go off on that tangent, but I'm not. All right. So the next thing is they want to be treated honorably. So anything you can do in your proposal to provide transparency is a good thing. All the way up to, I do not like lists of, like I was talking before, I don't like super detailed itemized proposals, because over time, those will become negotiation points that people will start picking off. So, but at the same point, I want to be transparent as possible. So you may be able to do this in a lot of different ways. You may be able to, pardon me, expose your schedule to your customers. Hey guys, I just want you to know I'm running 4 jobs right now. Now, people, that might scare people, but at the same time, you could then deal with expectations and also increase people's feeling like, this guy's a real honorable guy. He's telling me exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. I have $100,000 remodel that I did on my house.
Okay.
Massive, most money I've ever spent on a remodel ever. Okay. But we bought this house in order to do it. Okay.
Right.
We planned on it, and I had a bunch of fear wrapped around it because it's a huge risk, right?
Yeah.
And the contractor that I got, he published a schedule, and it put me at ease. I mean, it totally put me at ease. I felt like he respected me enough to say, hey, you know what? When you come to this job on Tuesday, I will not be there. I'm going to be there on Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
All right. That happens on almost all the jobs that I've been on, is that there's cycles, right? You're waiting for materials, or your labor is not done on another job or whatever. I will tell you that that's a major thing. If you can treat people honorably and transparently, your power's going to go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
People want recognition. I think that's pretty clear. They want to be liked.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it's a kiss of death in our business if you start disliking your customers. And listen, I know it's natural.
Yeah.
Everybody has a customer that they would just as soon slap in the face than go see again.
Right.
Everybody has them.
Yeah.
All right. But I will tell you that it will be better for you if you can learn to swallow those feelings and try to like these people who ultimately are giving you money.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
These become big too. They want to avoid future troubles and aggravations. So this is where talking to people about warranty comes in. This is where talking to people about really good opportunities to lower their risks come in. You know, their future aggravations are always a nervousness, right?
Yeah.
Business risk they want to avoid. They want to satisfy their significant other.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, I have seen, and I've had it deployed on me. The designer who did my last job, with this job I was talking about, she pulled me aside and said, "What does your wife want?
Right.
What does she really want? Tell me."
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it was a pretty good tactic. Later on, I looked back and I was like, yeah, man, she upgraded me to this stupid sink. She actually did upgrade me to it. It's the sink that has it's made out of a different, like a stone material. Anyway, but I upgraded to it because of my wife.
Yeah.
Let's see. Everybody has a fear of loss too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that you keep that fear of loss in mind as well. I don't want to lose an offer that I have on the table, or I don't want to lose, the position that I have or whatever. So make sure that's all right. So really, if you think about these things, bargaining power and building bargaining power, a lot of it has to do with keeping the right mindset.
Yeah.
It's about doing the right thing for the customer. It's about building relationships of trust. These are all important. But here's some things you have to keep in mind. Your mindset. And this is the end of this tip.
Yeah.
Okay. It's important that you believe in your prices. If you don't believe in your prices, you will be weak when you deliver them, and eventually you will lose. Mm-hmm. So believe in your prices. So in order to believe in your prices, you have to work on a published price list.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't do that.
Yep.
once you publish your prices in a price list, that indicates to your customers that you have some authority in those numbers.
Yeah.
And later you can appeal to that higher authority. We'll talk about that.
No, that's a good point. I've heard the same thing. Having, once somebody sees it on paper, they're like, well, that's the price.
It's legitimate. It legitimizes everything, all your work. It's like, well, he went to the effort of writing it down. Now I have tactics to get around that, but we'll talk about that in other tips.
Okay. All right.
Also, it has to be said that you also have to know what buyers to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There are some buyers that you do want to walk away from.
Yeah.
And so have an aspiration level for every deal, and be prepared that once that aspiration level once you cross that bridge, like I'm below my aspiration level, do yourself a favor and fire that opportunity. Because some of the best jobs that you never won or you won are the ones that you lost. And you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
So feel free. Always look at the blended margin on your jobs. Okay. Know that in every business, there are some things you're going to, it's like a grocery store. There are something, the milk they don't make a lot of money on. Okay. But they have enough that they want to fill your basket. You're going to have that same situation. And then always pick the right time to deliver your pricing. Okay. And what I mean by that is the largest time that you have, or the largest opportunity you have, is to deal with a customer when they're calm, when they're ready to talk price, when they're ready to do the numbers. Okay.
Right.
So on jobs that are bigger, I 100% suggest that people do pricing face to face. Okay. If at all possible. And I always suggest that you ask the customer, when is a convenient time to go through my final proposal?
Okay.
If they say at that point, no, just shoot it over. Say, yes, just shoot it over. Then I would try to use tactics to say, there are a couple things that I want to make sure I got right in this proposal. So it'd be better for me if I could just sit with you for 20 minutes and go down and make sure I got everything right. Yeah. And that will soften that. And then you can get with them. If your tactic would still be, okay, I'll go ahead and shoot it over to you and then we'll have a meeting, understand you're going to walk into a negotiation.
Okay.
Odds are, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I always strive to create trust in everything I do. Try to make sure that you're providing a win-win.
Yeah.
And all of these things in this tip will lower your customers' pricing sensitivity.
Yeah. And
as a seller, you always want to lower your customers' pricing sensitivity. And that's the biggest part of this tip today.
Okay. Well, we really appreciate it, Ron. Thank you for these great tips.
All right. Have a great day, guys.